because this one I have stuff that I want to talk about, and I'm not gonna deal with their bullshit, with the distractions and having to watch everything constantly. It's better this way. Someone asked me if I do anything other than bang on about the shit that I'm having to deal with and the people that I'm battling with. And when I asked them what they suggested, they came up with a pretty damn good suggestion. They told me, that I was a targeted individual. And I am a targeted individual. I'm not the first person that these idiots have done this to by far, and I'm certainly not the only. There are targeted individuals out there as well. And they asked me if I could possibly actually say something to help targeted individuals deal with what they're having to deal with, because all of our shit is similar, whether it's the weapons or the stalking of the shit that they do, all of the bizarro shit. First of all, what I want to tell targeted individuals is, whether you know it or not, there is a part of you that is remarkable. And I say that because they have identified you as having a trait that they want to destroy or fuck up as best they can. So there's something inside of you that is remarkable. The other thing about it is that whatever is inside of you is not like them. Because when they identify people who are like them, they go out of their way to employ those people. They go out of their way to actually bring them into their little group. So if you're being targeted and going through a rash of their shit, it means that something about you is remarkable and you are opposite to them. And that's a good thing, let me tell you. So, as far as the targeting goes, when you look at it that way, realize that I personally have come to the conclusion that with this targeting is kind of the boot camp that God has a bunch of us in. Because in the end, the only way to get through this is to realize that you are powerless. You are powerless to change any of it. You're not going to be able to expose them. They have everything under control. You're not going to be able... Nobody wants to hear about how you're being stalked, how people are harassing you, if there's weapons against you, and they're directed energy weapons. You're never going to get people to actually listen to you. It makes them scared. It makes them uncomfortable. You are not going to get validation from others. Despite the fact that in 2006, the Air Force went in front of Congress and said they had these weapons and that they were going to use them on American citizens to show the rest of the world they were safe. So, and that's obviously out there, not to mention their directed energy weapon. All of the patents and all of that are all out there too, easily accessible. Easily accessible. But you're not going to convince anybody, let alone get them to help you. What ends up happening is that I believe the reason why I call it a spiritual boot camp is because the only way to get through it is to realize that you are basically powerless over affecting any of it. The only thing that we are actually in control of is ourselves. And that's the only thing that we can control, is ourselves. When you realize that you can't stop them from doing their stupid fucking shit, you can't do anything to stop them. Fuck, they don't have any control over themselves. You're not going to elicit control. You're not going to get them to stop. You ain't going to even influence them. If you give them any kind of energy, it just spurs them on. But when you realize that you can't control anything of what they do, if they break into your house, they break into my house all the time. How they do it, I don't know. I'm not a fucking criminal. I'm assuming that the thing that turns off Wi-Fi is what they have, but it's a felony to own that. But like they fucking care, you know? That's why I've put other shit in the house that isn't directed. So if I get suspicious that they've been in my house, I'll be able to go look at that shit. And I do it over time, you know? It's just, but I can't control them. See what I'm saying? The weapons, I can't control that either. They have been blasting me in the face so fucking hard that it makes my whole face swell up. I have styes in both of my fucking eyes. My lips are constantly swollen and I'm not out in the sun. But there's nothing I can do about that. All I can do is control myself. But when you realize that that's what you can control and you are powerless over everything else, that gives you a sense of humility. You cannot realize that you are powerless and not have a sense of humility that goes with that. That's the reason why I think that we are in God's boot camp. And what we can control is ourselves. As far as the directed energy weapon shit, I know that there is fabric out there that they sell, but the shit's extremely expensive. Does it work? I don't know, because I haven't tried it, because it's expensive. You know? Other than making a fucking Faraday cage. And let me tell you, I did a makeshift one thinking that I could do it when I was out in Seattle when this was all really super bad in Algona. When I lost whatever they were bouncing off of those fucking rocks that had that weird metallic mold, because there was 12 great big pieces of concrete that showed up out of nowhere. And in 2 months, I lost 100 pounds. And fuck, I was desperate. Shit, I tried to build a makeshift. I'll never fucking do that again. It was humiliating. And then I found out about those rocks, and I got rid of all 12 of those rocks in one weekend. Went all around my house and got all of them out because they were strategically put down. And the minute I did that, I stopped losing weight and gained all my weight back. And it stopped. You know? They have all kinds of little fucking toys, but they only aim it at the people that they're threatened by. They only target you because they're threatened by you. As a targeted individual, as hard as this is, do not give them more credit than they have. And what I'm saying is, yeah, they do their shit. They do their shit. And there's nothing to stop it. But what they rely on is that your own paranoia is going to start attributing everything to them. You know? And when it comes down to it in life, shit happens. Shit happens to everyone. They are not in control of as much as you think they are. You know? They use your own psychology against you. They are not hiding in every bush. Not every single person out there is out to get you. But just because everyone in the world is not out to get you doesn't mean there isn't a group that isn't targeting you. It's not an either or. Both can be true. And if you're a targeted individual, both are true. They get you to discredit yourself. Because what ends up happening is that as a targeted individual, when you're going through this, you spend a lot of time trying to convince people that it's happening. That's what ends up happening. And it never works. You know? Their own fears and their own cognitive dissonance will keep them from doing it, even if they do know. What the fuck do you expect any of them to do? They're as powerless as you are. You know? And so, talking about your shit and letting people know, you don't need their validation. You don't need them to agree with you to make it any less true. It doesn't make it any less true. What's happening is happening. And they gaslight everybody. and everything. They're really good liars. That is their primary fucking talent, is bullshit. I call it glamour. It's their glamours. It's all full of bullshit. It's all shiny. It captures people's attention, but there's no fucking truth to it at all. The whole nuance is empty. It's the whole thing that false flags are based upon, you know? And they're very good. They're very aggressive opportunists. They'll be aggressive with everything. And who are we talking about? The people basically who are behind the CIA. All of these government institutions, they're all behind all of it. And we've been instructed, the first primary thing when you say that is, oh, he's crazy. He's talking about the CIA. Well, we all know it exists, but do any of us really know what they're fucking up to other than toppling all the governments, you know? And why would you think that they wouldn't want to do the same thing here? Because it's all about control. You know, it's all about control. And the reason why, if you find yourself as a targeted individual, you're targeted because they don't feel like they can control you. And so they'll use fear, they'll use aggression, they'll use attacks. These people go out and will fucking lie about everything to everyone all over the place. It'll make you feel isolated. But again, spiritually, I think we're all in a training camp spiritually right now, that there are a bunch of us who are in that. And as servants to heaven, we're able to stand alone. If you are the only fucking person who is standing, calling out the injustices with righteous indignation and doing what heaven is instructing you, and you're the only one, obviously you're enough. That's why heaven's using you. You know, obviously you're enough. And obviously they think you're enough because they wouldn't be targeting you otherwise. See what I'm saying? They have reasons. It's not like they just fucking pick your names out of a fucking hat. Throw a bunch of names in and they just reach into a hat. Oh, I think we'll target this person. That's not how it works. They've identified something remarkable in you. And so what it is you need to figure out what's remarkable about you that they would want to target. And take the narrative away from them. It's funny because this morning I knew I was going to talk about this, and all of a sudden, just like magic, this whole thing about this, how they use Machiavellian tactics and shit. And it was just a thing on YouTube. And when I get done, I'm going to put it in the description so that you guys, if you're a targeted individual, if you're not a targeted individual, it's well worth watching. It's well worth watching. And it's not, I didn't do it. It just came up on my, came up on my YouTube, and I watched it this morning. They use Machiavellian techniques. They never even acknowledge if you call them out because they never defend themselves, but they try to get you to defend yourself because that, in other people's eyes, takes power away from you. Stop fucking defending yourself. You know? Even if you convinced everyone around you that you were being targeted, what would they be able to do? Nothing. Nothing. And so sometimes what we have to do is realize that we are powerless and we endure with as much grace as it's possible. And sometimes that's not easy. I know that personally. Sometimes it is not easy. But if you're getting hit with the microwave shit, stop sitting around or laying in bed and telling yourself, oh my God, it's so terrible, it's so terrible. Go for a fucking walk. Go do something physical because it makes it better. It does make it better. If anything, it just takes your focus off of the shit. Because they use our own thoughts and our own human aspects against us. That's what it's designed to do. And they're going to do whatever they are going to do. That's a lot of faith helps a great deal in all of this. A great deal. A great deal for me. You know, when it comes down to the shit, especially lately, fuck, they've been blasting the shit out of my face. You know, I don't even go outside, but they've been blasting the shit out of my face. And what I realized was, for me, because of what I went through in the training that I went through, because Michael Aquino was a fucking Nazi. The people that were at Offutt Air Force Base that were helping him do the training to me, and again, I wasn't the only fucking one, they were all fucking Nazis. The people that were in Hummel Park, that's the thing that connected them. The occult thing didn't even fucking connect them. Because a lot of them, it was just a fucking weird-ass social club. When I was a kid, it was the 60s and 70s, and the fact that they could fill that fucking staircase full of adults having sex with fucking animals and fucking kids and fill that whole thing, everyone was impressed by it, you know? And it was the time of Vincent Price and all of that weird bullshit that, you know, because they use that shit. I'll get to that aspect. I'll come back to that because there's stuff that I want to talk about now, because I'm going to give the whole spiritual timeline, how I see it on my spiritual path and the shit that I've been working at. But with targeted individuals, they wouldn't be targeting you if you weren't strong. So stop telling yourself that you're weak. Stop telling yourselves that you're stupid and what they're doing you deserve. That's all that whole syndrome, that Stockholm syndrome thing. Identifying with your fucking loser assholes who all work as a group in the fucking dark. They don't even have the fucking balls to actually be there right in people's faces. They hide in the fucking dark. They have a million different accounts online, every one of them, let alone how many fucking names, aliases they have in real life. They hide in the fucking dark and tell themselves they're superior while they hide and attack in the dark. You know, they're not superior. They couldn't put up with what you're putting up with. They wouldn't have the strength. Not a fucking one of them. Not a fucking one of them. But that's where it's different from me. Because the shit that I was trained to do, Michael Aquino was my handler. The shit that they did to me as a kid, blah, 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 pledging their souls to me at Hummel Park. The rituals that would happen, all of the shit that I was trained to do, how I deal with their bullshit with this. The reason why these weapons are hard to deal with, but I have an understanding of why I'm going through what I'm going through, is because you can only reap what you sow. That's why years ago when I went through all of this and offered my body and soul, if I could just bring them the fuck down and make them pay. When I did that, that was why I was told that I had to make them rise up and strike me down, because they had to do it first. I've talked about that dream that I had the night before Scalia ended up dead, where I dreamt of my friend's husband who was a pedophile, and there was a blue beam that was coming out of me. I could tell it was hurting him. In the dream, I lifted him up about 4 feet off because I intensified it. Then his feet started on fire, but then I looked down and realized my feet had already been on fire. And I was spun around right at that moment, 160 degrees, and I was in front of our Father, and was told that was what I had to do. That was the cost of what I wanted to do. I had to go through it first. I had to endure it first before I could return it to them. And in the dream, without hesitation, I said, if it saves the children. Turned around to finish the job, and I woke up. The very next fucking day, Scalia ended up dead the very next day. So that's what I've done. So all of their shit that they think that they're fucking hitting me with these weapons and oh, they're so crafty and all of that, just realize at this moment in time, I'm able to channel that shit into the dark. But there are things that they identified that since I've gotten involved with all of this and was involved with the survivor community, there are certain things that I know about how victims that were put through the same shit I went through, how we were all chosen. One, we were super fucking smart. We were super smart. Every one of us was smart. Two, we were empathic. We had a sense of the people around us and our environment and all of that as children. We had a sense of that. That's the reason why, well, let me just continue with the similarities. The other similarity is, the biggest one is, we think in pictures. We think in pictures. And fourth, we had an inner dialogue. Those were the four things that, what I've realized about myself and other survivors, those four things match up with every single survivor that I've ever met who went through all of this stuff. We were super smart. We were already empathic. We thought in pictures. And I'm having a brain fart because I want to get back. I want to explain each one of them, so I'll get back to it. First of all, super smart. For the women who actually broke into multiple personality disorders, you have to be genius level intelligence. Stupid people can't break into multiple personalities. They can't dissociate. They certainly can't compartmentalize. They don't have the skills. They don't have the brain power. That's part of the intelligence. Two, we were empathic. That's the reason why there was so much fucking torture and abuse to all of this stuff. Any social worker worth their salt will tell you that an abused child becomes hypersensitive to their environment. They become hypersensitive to everyone around them. They become hypersensitive to the environment around them. We all become hypersensitive. That's human condition. The other thing is that we thought in pictures, we thought in pictures. That was what made us so effective with being able to, that's what made our memories so easy. That's the reason why I can tell you the same shit over and over and over, and my story never fucking changes, because I remember it as a movie in pictures. That's how we work. That's the reason why we were able to remember stuff. And then the inner dialogue. The inner dialogue, which they used abuse to try and separate so they could control that inner dialogue, but they separated the victims from themselves. Those are the things that happened. Mine was all energy work, mind over matter. Becoming empathic enough to be able to recognize and know the energy that's involved, and then to be able to focus on it enough to actually direct it and actually get it to manifest. As I've said before, with the rituals that they were doing in Hummel Park and all the shit that they were doing to me in Offutt Air Force Base, what they wanted from me was a warlock who didn't need a coven. I was able to just do whatever the fuck I wanted to do and didn't need a coven. That's what they were looking for in me. So, I never broke in. I have complex PTSD, but I never broke into personalities. Never. And the problem that they had with me, the reason why I was damaged goods at 10, when my father and stepmother and sister Cindy and Ralph was there and Steven was there, made me light that dude on fire in Fremont, is because it fried the fucking programming. Wasn't part of my programming, and I wasn't drugged. And it fucked everything up because it brought everything to the forefront. It brought all of it to the forefront. But spiritually, this is what I know. This is the energy of what I'm going through. While they're hitting me in the face with all of this shit and making my life terrible, at the same time, at the exact same time, the sun is inundating us with so much fucking gamma radiation with all these plasma bursts and all of that. And all of that counts too. all of that energy counts. So I'm able to direct all of this shit into the dark. That's how I've always been able to separate myself from it, is that I channel the shit into the dark. But what they don't realize is that channeling it, I have my own energy that I can tweak to it. And my own energy is that I have the blessings of heaven. So I'm able to add the whole fucking wrath of heaven and the energy of the wrath of heaven into the dark, along with their fucking little microwave bullshit and the sun. That's the environment that's going to be there in the dark. I can go through all the shit that they're doing to me, all of the threats on my dogs, all the break-ins, all of the weird shit, all of the fucked up shit, them murdering Owen, them going after me, them trying to send Sherilyn after me, them working with my stepmother, them working with my fucking sister Cindy's kids, all of the emails, all of the attacks, everything, blah, 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 blah. This is what I fucking know. In the end, every one of those motherfuckers will bow to me. Every one of those motherfuckers. They can't admit it right now. They're fucking clueless right now. But not only are they going to fucking bow to me, every motherfucking one of them is gonna beg me. They're gonna beg me for mercy because they don't want to be in the dark. And the third thing that I can fucking guarantee every single person, every one of them, not only are they not going to get mercy, they are going to get the antithesis of mercy. If there is a direct and complete opposite to mercy, that's what awaits them in the dark. But the dark is a gift, a loving gift from heaven. That's what the dark is. See, evil is a virus in mankind's hearts. And it fucking spreads everywhere. It's fucking easy to catch. And it just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. That's the reason why, in the end, it is said that those who find themselves condemned in the dark, 3 to 4 of their generations also get condemned in the dark, because the evil that flows through their hearts is in the blood. That's why when Trump says, "I don't think I'm going to heaven," no, dude, you're not. By your own father, your family owes a blood debt, just like my family does. We owe a blood debt, which means all of us end up in the fucking dark. It's not just you, Donald, your kids, Barron, everyone. The shit part about it is that I have a great nephew who's Steven's kid, and a great niece who is, and they're gonna end up in the fucking dark as well, because there's 3 to 4 generations. That's what's written. It was never meant to be easy. I end up in the dark, but I end up in the dark over what was cast. And heaven is the one who cast it, not me. I am but a servant. All I've done is gotten all of you motherfuckers to fucking stand up and attack me. That's all I've ever done. And it's worked, because it's all you ever know. That's all you know. It was the easiest request. It was easy to fulfill, not easy to go through. But that's what's getting ready to happen. Death is coming. Death is coming. And every one of you motherfuckers is going to bow to me. And you're going to beg me. And I'm going to tell you no. And you're going to go in the dark. An eternity in the dark, where you get to do to yourselves what this group was so prolific in doing to everyone else for so long. After an eternity of that, you'll never fucking choose dark again. That's why I say it's a gift of love from heaven, because it cures evil in the heart. Live in eternity where the evil is in control, you will be afraid to even gravitate towards it ever again. Death is coming, the reaping is before us, the ascension is right after. If you have love in your heart, you'll cross. If you don't, you're fucked. And everyone is equal in the dark. Not one of you will suffer more or less than anyone else. And you'll all be alone. That's the thing the TIs need to realize. These motherfuckers are strong in a group. But in the dark, they're gonna all be by themselves. They get to go through what we went through. More specifically, what they put me through. And it gets to be intensified. Because they're superior. So it would be just not right to offer them the same shit I went through. They're way more superior than me, so their test needs to be harder. That's what's getting ready to happen. And they can say whatever the fuck they want, they can do whatever the fuck they want, but they know they can feel it. Spiritual-wise, this is how I look at the timeline spiritual-wise. I grew up with all their Nazi fucking bullshit. They tortured that shit, so it was in my head forever. It was hard to forget. They're way behind timeline. The camps were supposed to be in full effect by 2015. Obviously, they're behind schedule. What I look at is everything started to change in 2006. What happened in 2006? My dad died in 2006 in March, and I ended up having to go do the soul extractment in March, and then I turned 40 in 2006, that December. And that was when the hold broke. After everything happened with my 40th birthday, you can just go read Confessions of an Antichrist on my blog. I go through in detail what I did. I journeyed to find out, and like I said, in a 30-minute journey, I was told, I will come to you as a thief in the night 4 times. And so, of course, I jumped to the conclusion that they were going to rob my house, but then I realized what I did with the thing that was inside my dad that I ended up dealing with on my 40th birthday, I could go do to the fallen. And people don't fucking have a clue. They watch The Exorcist and think that's fucking real. You watch all this stupid shit and think it's real. You think you are all in the know. It doesn't work that way. But I grew up with an entire group that fucking gave all kinds of promises to all kinds of demons while they were fucking killing all kinds of little boys. That was with me. My siblings will tell me that it was boy, girl, man, woman. It didn't make any difference. But for me, it was always prepubescent white boys. All through, all up until the age of 10. So they believed in these demons. I was told to treat them as my brothers, not to be afraid of them, so I never was afraid of them. That's the reason why I think The Exorcist and all that other shit is stupid. It's fucking stupid. When have any of you ever seen anything like that? Oh, really? Never? Well, then maybe that's because it's in a movie and it doesn't exist, you know? However, this group made pledges. The interesting thing that I find with that birthday book of Jeffrey Epstein when I heard about it was, I would be willing to bet really good money that every motherfucker in that book knows exactly what that temple is all about that's on Jeffrey Epstein's island. They fucking know. They know that what was going on in that temple. They fucking know. If they're laughing about everything else, they know what was going on in that temple. And 2, I bet that each one of them was given the same fucking offer. Worship the dark, and you can do whatever evil motherfucking thing you want to do and never pay a day's price. And you want to know what? It's worked. They've been able to do whatever evil fucking thing they wanted to do, and they've never paid a day's price. Not a fucking one of them. So, say that I'm wrong just because that's your fucking opinion doesn't make much sense. They knew. They knew. Those are the very motherfuckers that are going into the goddamn dark. It already has a hold of them. See, what I did was I went and gave the demons, fallen angels, my own little offer. Go to war with heaven or be embraced back into heaven. That's written in my book. I wrote it in 2000. Fuck, I put that on my blog in 2011. Put it in my book. I'm not saying anything I haven't fucking said repeatedly for fucking decades. You know? However, in helping them over, what was due them was now due me. Not them, me. It was mine. And what did I do? I gave it to the dark. So now the dark owns it. And all these motherfuckers have to do is do whatever fucking little rituals you want to do and go. All you have to do is go take your souls, march right into the fucking dark and take your souls back. You know? You use the shit that you were using in that fucking temple. Same goddamn thing as the hotel that Scalia ended up dead with that had the fucking devil faces lining every fucking hallway. You know? Same fucking thing. It's right in front of your faces. But just because you choose to be ignorant doesn't change the truth. Doesn't change the facts of the matter. These people are fucked. They're fucked. And those of you who they are fucking with, stay strong. Realize that they're about ready to reap what they've sown in a way that they ain't gonna like. And just maintain the grace that's inside of you. All of the evil shit that they do to you, all of the nasty motherfucking shit that they do to you, channel it and do something miraculous and beautiful for someone else. Channel it and transform it. In your own mind, it will make a big difference. That's my suggestion for TIs right now. You know? Spiritually wise, 2006 it fell down. These motherfuckers are very aware. In the end, scriptural wise, it's a war of the children over the minds of the children. Guess what, motherfuckers? Heaven just used the dark to take out the general that was in complete control of influencing the fucking young. Charlie Kirk is dead. Your general is dead. And there's no one like him to replace him. That was heaven. Heaven is going to fuck your group up. You know? And the thing about it is that you guys never had a second, you never had a plan B. You never did a plan B. This dumbass who was threatening my dogs, I haven't posted this shit yet because I just didn't give a fuck. I needed a break from it for a few days. That's why I didn't do a live yesterday. I just needed a fucking break from these goddamn dumbasses. But he said, oh, well, we're telling you that we're going to come in and kill your dogs because it's a satanic ritual, and we're going to do the same thing to you that we did to Isaac Cappy, and letting you know is part of it. Oh, really, dumbass? Like I didn't fucking know that. And now you all know. Now you all know. And it is the same thing that, you know, they gaslight you all the time. As crazy as it sounds, the reason why I know that 9/11 and the Pentagon that happened on the same day, that there's more to it than what we're being told, is because that Illuminati card deck that was published in 92. Unless you believe those motherfuckers were the greatest soothsayers since fucking Nostradamus, how is there a card showing an explosion at the top of the Twin Towers and in the middle of the pentagram? or a pentagon. How do those two fucking cards exist? But the interesting part about that Illuminati card game is that there's two people that don't exist in that card game. Two people. Because Obama's in there, Hillary Clinton's in there, Donald Trump's in there. They're all in there. But you want to know the two people that aren't in there? Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. Those two people. And the reason why I feel that that's important is because that shows me that that whole 4 years was a major glitch in your plans. That was not expected, and that was of heaven. Not that I like Joe Biden. The fucking dude says creepy sexual shit to a 12-year-old in front of her dad on stage in front of cameras. Obviously, I didn't care for him. I don't like Kamala Harris. Didn't like her. You know? I voted for her because the alternative was Trump, and I knew if Trump became president, it was over. But the reason why I say that that was a hiccup is because they're not in the Illuminati card game. You want to know the important thing that happened in that 4 years? The very important thing? That second part of that eclipse that came 7 years after the first part, that carved an X on the New Madrid. That's where it entered, the X. The middle part is on the New Madrid. At the same time, it was in the news, national news, that Texas was sending 4 red heifers to Israel. And that's important because of that whole ritual, the abomination of desolation ritual. And at the exact same time, they were going to shoot missiles at something, and CERN was going to turn on. The same exact time that that eclipse was happening. So put all that together, they didn't have control, and they did that abomination of desolation ritual that set themselves above heaven. And now heaven is responding. You don't have a motherfucker who can actually come forward to take Charlie Kirk's place. And people want to compare that new dude to JFK or to Martin Luther King Jr. The only similarities between those two is now that he's dead, his message is going to stagnate. Because that's how it works. You know? And they don't have anybody who can do what Charlie Kirk was able to do. Not a one of them. Stephen Miller, J.D. Vance, you know, Kash Patel. And the only reason why they found that dude is because he turned himself in by telling his sheriff dad. And Johnny Dubb, a.k.a. Lucian Greaves, just sent me something that I woke up to this morning, trying to suggest that there's a transsexual involved in the 22-year-old's life. You want to know how I know that's not fucking true? Because if that was true, and this dude was living with a fucking transsexual dude, his Republican, MAGA-loving sheriff dad, who is a Mormon and heavily involved in the Mormon church, wouldn't have been talking to him afterwards. There would have been kind of a rift, you know? Kind of a rift. So even to suggest something so stupid just shows how desperate they are to fill this fucking weird transsexual thing with the death of Charlie Kirk. You know? But it doesn't fit the facts. Yeah. The dude was gay, living with a transsexual, and his Republican Mormon sheriff dad was totally fine with it. You know? The only reason why they caught that dude is because he confessed. If it had been up to Kash Patel, they'd still be fucking singling out everybody other than a 22-year-old white Republican Mormon dude. That's where we would be. But it doesn't make any difference. Death is upon us. And these motherfuckers are about to be claimed. And you all can fucking dance around and say whatever the fuck you want. But I can tell you, you haven't been after me these many, 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 many years because I'm crazy or that I'm a liar. You've been on top of me like you have because I've been telling the truth. Just like I'm telling you the truth right now. In the end, not only will every one of you motherfucking child killers bow to me, you will beg me. And you will receive the exact amount of mercy that you offered everyone else as a group these many, 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 many years. And you ain't gonna like how that works. Because yes, I'm in the dark, but I'm the one who gets to tend the garden in the dark. It's one of the most lush gardens I've ever seen on the other side. One of the most lush gardens I've ever seen. And the way I keep it flourishing is through your tears. So have mercy on you and let my plants die. Ain't gonna happen. You're fucked. You're just too stupid to realize it. But you will.